Hi, everyone. This is Reading with Grace, and my name is Miss Grace. And today we have Sam again, our reading buddy, right here. And Sam has a friend named April who came to visit and play with him today. This is April, and this is Sam. Sam is our reading buddy, and April joined us today. And this is Reading with Grace. We read for goodwill, respect, accountability, comprehension, and edification. And also, we are going to turn this over to the other side, and you see the definitions of the words that I just showed you. If you can see those there. These are the purpose of Reading with Grace to display and learn. We believe that reading is better when we're reading together. So, reading together is better. And we are still on our reading journey together on what is the World Cup. We're reading from a wonderful book that I purchased online. You see, this is the book here. And even though the World Cup is over and we got a new country that has won the World Cup, and we are still going to learn about what is the World Cup. And we in chapter 4 in the book I just showed you. And the title of this chapter is called Pelé. So we're going to begin this journey together, reading and learning about who Pelé is. And he was a very famous soccer player. And so we're beginning to read. Brazil did not make it to the finals in the 1954 World Cup. Those games crowned a new winner, West Germany. The Brazilian team was still hurting from its back-to-back losses when the 1958 games, hosted by Sweden, rolled around. But this time, Brazil had a secret weapon by the name of Pelé. Pelé was born on October 23rd, 1940, in Trecos Caracos, Brazil. His parents named him Edson Arantes do Nascimento after Thomas Edison. No one knows exactly how or when he got the name Pele, a nickname he never liked. You know, sometimes you may have a nickname that a friend or family member has given you. You may or may not like that nickname, just like Pele did not like his nickname, Pele. But it stuck to him as he continued on in his journey of becoming a soccer player. Let's continue reading with Sam, and this is April, and these are our reading buddies today. Do you have your reading buddy with you today? So, going back to the book, from the time he was a young boy, Pele was hooked on soccer. So, Pele started playing soccer when he was a young boy. Are you a young boy or girl learning how to play soccer? Are you on a soccer team at your school? Oh, well, congratulations. Going back to the book, growing up poor, Pele had to make soccer balls out of old socks stuffed with rags and newspaper. Wow, wasn't that creative? Where Pele was so poor, he couldn't afford to get a soccer ball, so he created his own by putting rags and newspapers in old socks. Now let's continue reading. He dribbled them wherever he went. At 15, Pele joined Santos, a professional soccer club in Brazil. And as soon as he hit the field, he was a sensation. At the age of 16, Pele was his league's highest scorer and was recruited to play for the Brazilian national team. On June 24th, 1958, 17-year-old Pelé stood on the pitch with his team, waiting to face France in the World Cup semifinals. France had crushed two of its previous opponents and came to the game with confidence. Yet, 2 minutes in, Brazil scored. France tied it up, but Brazil struck again with another goal in the 39th minute. Then, in the second half, Pelé shocked his opponents by scoring 3 goals. Wow, isn't it amazing, Sam and April? Wow, 3 goals. That is amazing. Now let's continue reading from the book. He became the youngest player in the World Cup history to do what is called a hat trick. The game ended with Brazil winning 5-2. So on June 29th, about 50,000 fans crowded Rosanda Football Stadium in Solna to watch the Swedish home team battle Brazil in the final. This is the final game between Sweden and Brazil. Wow, just like we just had our World Cup recently between Argentina and Spain. So back to the book. Thousands more were glued to their TVs at home. At the end of the first half, Brazil was up by a goal. Then, at the 55-minute mark, Pelé got the ball right in front of the goal. As Sweden's defense rushed at him, Pelé bounced the ball on his foot and sent it high in the air. In a flash, Pelé ran around the defenders, got the ball, and slammed it into the net. Goal! Isn't that amazing, Sam and April, our reading buddies today? How we're reading about how Pelé was playing in the final game at the World Cup between Sweden and Brazil. So let's continue reading from the book. Brazil increased its lead 3-1, and then 13 minutes later, it was 4-1. But Sweden was not about to go down easily. With 10 minutes remaining, they narrowed the gap 4-2. Then Pelé rushed toward the goal, trying to meet a pass. He jumped into the air at the same time as the Swedish goalkeeper. Who would get the ball first? Who would get the ball first? Pelé's headed the ball over the goalie's outstretched arms and goal! Now, the book has pictures of President of FIFA as he presents the first World Cup trophy to the president of the Uruguayan Football Association in 1930. And then it has pictures about the Maracana Stadium in Brazil in 1950. Queen Elizabeth presents Jules Rimet Trophy to England captain Bobby Moore after the World Cup final in 1966. These are some pictures in this wonderful book we're reading. It shows about England scoring in 1966 FIFA World Cup final. Has a picture of Pelé in here playing in 1970 FIFA World Cup quarterfinal game. It has a picture of an Italian player as he's being tackled during a FIFA World Cup final in 1970. And then it shows a picture of confetti raining down from the stands after Argentina wins a FIFA World Cup in 1978. Has a picture of Pelé playing for the New York Cosmos. And it has a wonderful picture here of Italy's Paolo Rossia, Russia scores the first goal against West Germany in the 1982 FIFA World Cup final. And there's more other pictures of Cameroon players, Colombia players, Also, it shows about one player receiving a red card in the 1998 FIFA World Cup, and it got a wonderful picture of fans in the stands. These are fans in the stands celebrating, Brazilian fans, the FIFA Cup in 2002. And then the Brazilian Cup again, they got some pictures of some fans celebrating in 2002. And then they got in here about the 2006 FIFA World Cup final of France. And then they show pictures of protesters demonstrating in South Africa during the 2010 FIFA World Cup. South Africa supporters in the 2010 FIFA World Cup. They got a picture of those. And then people gather in Brazil to protest the FIFA in 2014. And then they show a picture of the men's current FIFA World Cup trophy. And another picture they have here about Germany with the FIFA World Cup trophy in 2014. So now we're going to go back to reading about Pelé. Pelé collapsed to the ground, his eyes filled with tears of joy. Brazil won! Pelé's teammates lifted him up on their shoulders, and although the Swedes had lost, they couldn't help but admire soccer's newest superstar. After the World Cup, Pelé received offers to play for some European soccer clubs, but the president of Brazil had Pelé declare a national treasure. That made it legally hard for him to play for another country. Pelé was again in the national spotlight for the 1962 World Cup in Chile. Even though he suffered an injury early in the tournament, Brazil went on to win its second World Cup. Isn't that amazing, Sam and April, and you listening and looking as we read this wonderful book together? How Pelé, even though he was injured, he still played and they still won. Continue reading. In 1966, World Cup was hosted by England, and Brazil was hoping for a third win. But the opposing teams played Pelé hard, bumping, tackling, and tripping him any chance they got. He was bruised so badly that he couldn't play in Brazil's match against Hungary in the second round. Brazil lost 3-1 and later was knocked out of the competition. As for Pelé, he said he would never play in another World Cup game. Wow, he was so hurt physically and probably emotionally how he was tripped and bumped and he was bruised so badly emotionally and physically that he didn't want to play another World Cup game again. He told a reporter, Pelé said this to a reporter, soccer has been distorted by violence and destructive tactics. I don't want to finish my life as an invalid. That's a quote from Pelé to a reporter. Although Brazil was out, the home team was still in, and they made it to the finals to face West Germany. The English fans sat anxiously in Wembley Stadium in London. So they're in London, another country on this planet Earth. So the English fans sat anxiously in this stadium. They're waiting and they're in London. Everybody hoped to witness the first World Cup victory for England, a country that treasures soccer. At the end of the first half, the score was tied. Isn't it amazing? It was a good, hard game they were playing. With 13 minutes left, England's Martin Peters booted the ball into the net. Goal! The fans went wow. Wow. The fans were just shouting and screaming. They went wow. But then Germany's Wolfgang Weber took control of a loose ball and smashed it into the net. The game was tied and forced into extra play. Uh-oh, the game was tied. Let's see what else is going to happen. The teams fought hard. England's Jeff Hurst got a cross from his teammate, Alan Ball, right in front of the German goal. Hurst sent the ball flying through the air. It struck the goalpost and fell just behind the line. Goal! Another goal. Isn't that amazing? Sam and April are reading buddies with us, and your reading buddies with you. The crowd went wild, but was silenced a moment later when a linesman blew his whistle. The officials said the ball had fallen in front of the goal line, disqualifying the goal. Uh-oh, so the point was not good because the ball fell in front of the goal line. The linesman and the referee conferred on the field. The fans waited nervously in the stands. They were waiting to determine what these officials were going to say about this call. At last, a decision was made. The goal was good, but there was still time left. Could Germany come back? No. England scored another goal, and the final score was 4-2. Isn't that amazing, Sam and April? And you out there listening and reading along with me and listening with me as we read together with your reading buddy? All of England celebrated this first World Cup victory. Little do they know that this would be their last, so far, World Cup win. By the time Mexico hosted the 1970 World Cup, Brazil had one of the strongest teams on the field, headlined by Pelé. Now we're going to talk about referees. On the field, the referee's word is law. If his decision is questioned, a player can face a penalty. Besides knowing all the rules, a ref must be good at dealing with people and be able to speak English and one other language. The ref must also be in top shape. A ref can run an average of 12 miles per game. Wow. Now we're going back to learn more about Pelé. Yes, Pelé was back. Although he promised never to play another World Cup, Pelé changed his mind after FIFA established the red and yellow card system, the yellow and red card system. Any player caught purposely fouling another player would be given a yellow card as a warning. A red card meant expulsion from the game. Brazil faced Italy in the final and won 4-1, giving the country its third World Cup. Pelé announced his retirement from soccer in 1974, but once again was pulled back into the game to play for the New York Cosmos in the North American Soccer League. Now we're going to talk about the yellow and red cards that officials will sometimes lift up in the air when some type of penalty or foul has been established. So let's read about yellow and red cards. A yellow card is given to a player as a warning when he shows aggressive or unsportsmanlike behavior, disagrees with a ref, continues to break game rules, delays play, or doesn't respect the distance during a corner kick, free kick, or throw in. Red cards are for more serious offenses. They are given for violent play, spitting at an opponent or official, denying a goal by handing the ball except for the goalie, purposely committing a penalty to deny an obvious goal scoring opportunity, using bad language, or after receiving 2 yellow cards. Once a player receives a red card, he is kicked out of the game. Now we're going back to Pelé to learn more about him. Pelé played his final game in an exhibition in October 1977 between the Cosmos and Santos. During the game, he played for both sides. He retired with a goal of 1,281 goals in 1,363 games. To many, Pelé is the greatest soccer player of all time. That's the end of chapter 4 about Pelé in the book that we're reading called What is the World Cup? So Sam and April, our reading buddies for today, is with us as we were reading about Pelé. We talked about the the different rules and regulations on the field that the official can call a yellow or red card. We talked about some other things about Pelé, and we hope that this has been very educational, enlightening, and inspiring for you to not give up even when you are going through a difficult situation with school and friends or even family members. Just talk to someone who will listen to your situation, and we hope and we also pray that this will be a blessing to you as we are reading with Grace and Miss Grace. And remember, reading together is better. See you next time.